I want to share with you how to create your future by understanding the power of your beliefs. And I'll give you examples of how I've used this in my life and how you can easily work with this as well. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda Armstrong, and I bring more light to your life. I'm an energy healer and an awakening coach, and here on my channel I like to talk about all sorts of things that will assist you in your transformation and in loving your life. And that's my website, lovemylife.coach. So this thing about beliefs, you're probably aware, or you may not be, but I hope that you are, that your beliefs actually create your reality, right? So there are beliefs that you hold within your system, and sometimes you're not even aware of them, that are dictating how things play out in your life, right? Your life is really just a mirror image of all that you're feeling within, what's going on in your mind and in your heart. So that's why you want to be aware of beliefs. You can always, just so you know, if you have a belief that's not supporting you, it can be transformed, it can be reprogrammed with a new belief. That's the kind of work that I do. And so just so you know, don't beat yourself up if you're like, oh my God, I must be holding all these different beliefs because blah, 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 blah is happening in my life, right? No problem. That's we can take care of that. But I want to go into a few examples of my own of how something that I believed actually came true. Now there's two examples that I'll give you that came true in my life, but at the time I didn't really understand how to do it. These are just beliefs that I held. So I'll give you the example. I used to always say when I was younger, to all my friends, to anybody, the guy I'm going to marry is walking the planet somewhere. He could be on the other side of the earth for all I know, or he could have just passed right by me. So I used to say that a lot, right? I had no resistance because it seemed very, of course, it's very believable. He's definitely alive on the planet, right? Because, if I'm 20, I'm not going to marry an infant, right? So I don't think I'm going to marry someone 20 years younger than me. So I could believe that. I also believe that, he could be anywhere on Earth. He could be on the other side of the planet. And yes, I could have walked right past him many times, not even known him. So I didn't have any resistance. So like when we're manifesting and we put some things out there, right? We're putting out our intentions. Tricky part is not realizing when you have resistance towards them, because the energy that you hold is the energy that goes out and was exactly what you'll receive back in your experience. So now looking back on it, I know I had no resistance on this. Well, funny thing is, I decided to take up karate, right? And I meet this guy, and we hit it off real quick, real easy, like boom. So I start dating him, and then I bring him home to my family. Now the interesting thing is, this guy grew up in Africa. He grew up in Rhodesia. His family's from England, but he was born in Rhodesia. So he lived there most of his whole life until he came here to the States. And he went to California and then to Hackensack, New Jersey, where I was. But the funny thing is this, I knew that part of the equation, and it actually didn't even dawn on me that that it was matching my belief until I bring him home to meet my family. And my sister says to me, that's the guy who always walks the German Shepherd past our house. And I was like, oh my God, he is that guy. And I have to tell you, quite a few times when I was in between boyfriends, I would see him walking that dog, and I would think, I could strike up a conversation with that guy, although I never did. But then I decided to start taking karate. He's one of my instructors. We hit it off. We start dating. 2 months later, he moves to California. And 2 months after that, I move out there with him. So it was really quick. I met him. Within 4 months, we're living together. And then, and another part of that is that I would say to myself that I would be married before I'm 28. So I was almost married at 21, and that engagement fell apart. And at the time, of course, it feels like the worst thing that can happen, right? But it was the perfect thing that could happen, because I hadn't yet met that guy who lived on the other side of the world that I crossed paths with many times. But anyway, here we are. I have this thing, I'm going to be married before I'm 28. I got married when I'm 27. Okay. I also had another thing that I always believed, and I always would tell people, was that I would have my first child before I am 30. My son was born 8 days before my 30th birthday. So, it's like those, I have to say, those were like kind of easier because, I didn't have any resistance to that, right? And when you're younger, it's easier not to have resistance towards the things that you want to do. You're very driven, you have nothing, not so much experience to make you think that these things couldn't happen in your life. So those are really cool. But now another belief that I created, okay, those are beliefs I kind of just had without knowing that I was creating them and that they were reflecting back to me and creating for me. So as I got into all the different work that I do now, and I'll have a new desire of something I want to work on, I'll kind of put that energy out. I put it out in a form of a belief, and like it's in present time. So another great example is when I was going for my 3rd degree black belt, and what I did was, because my husband's my instructor, and he wasn't really putting me up for my 3rd degree yet. I was still I was 1st degree. So he was a little reluctant to put me up. He said, I don't know if you're going to be ready for it, but it's in 2 months and the chief instructor for the United States wants you to go up for your 2nd degree. So I thought, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm going to prove it to you. So I created a belief for myself, like a programming, that I am a 3rd degree. Okay, so I kept holding that. I only had a few months to get ready. But in my mind, I would work with, I'm a 3rd degree, 2nd degree. Because I'm thinking, if I feel like a 3rd degree, they have to give me a 2nd degree, right? So that's what I went off of. There were things I needed to work on, katas I had to learn before that. And so I did some training, on the mat. But I did most of my training in my mind, in my body. Because I would be sparring, like fighting with, fighting in my mind, sparring. And it would be so real that my heart would be pounding. I'd be working up a sweat. The adrenaline would be flowing. This is what I did. If I was doing my katas, which are just like, fight scenes, imagine no opponent, you're just you and just you. They would be perfect. Everything I can do in my mind, of course, was perfect. And at the same time, I'm still thinking, I don't know what a 3rd degree felt like. I was 1st degree, but I conjured up some kind of a feeling sense of 3rd degree, right? So I held myself, whether it was in my mind or on the mat training, I'm a 3rd degree. Well, comes time for that test. And my husband says, yeah, you can go for it, right? I'm like, yeah, of course. So the test was actually after 4 days of intense training. There are 4 chief instructors. Each one gives a course each of those days. So on the 4th day, after all of that training, we are asked to come up and they're going to do this testing. So we had to train on hard floors in like a banquet hall of a hotel. And so it was really fatiguing on your legs and your feet. By the time this test came around, I was exhausted. I mean, I had nothing left. But now you have to give it your all because here you are. You're testing. They're looking at you. So we do the whole testing process. I do everything that they ask me to do, and then there's probably 20 people testing, and so we're all kind of standing there after doing whatever it was they asked us. We're all kind of spread out, and these 4 chief instructors are having some kind of a conversation, and it's going on for like 20 minutes. Now we just have to stand like in ready position. You're not like, waiting for the bus. You had to show respect and stand, strong. So my legs were about to give out. I mean, I thought I was going to just drop. And I look around the room and I see everybody else, and I see their calves are shaking. I'm like, okay, good, it's not just me. And I'm thinking, because, I know these chief instructors pretty well through all the years. I'm like, they must be talking about their golf game, because they all get together at this World Chief Instructors course. They don't always see each other. And I'm thinking, they're thinking about where they're going for dinner. Like, I couldn't even imagine what was going on. But finally, they line us up. They call us up one by one, and they give me my second degree, right? Because I was going up for second degree. But in my mind, I told you, I'm third degree. After the test, each one of them separately, all 4 of them came up to me and told me the reason why we were talking for so long was that we were trying to find a way that would make it okay to skip you to third degree because you are third degree. I'm like, wow. So what they said was that I can come back in the next year to get my third degree. Normally after you get your second degree is a minimum of 3 years training and however long it takes until your sensei puts you up. So I was able to go back the next year and get my third degree, which I did. But I want to make the point that I really held that, not just in my mind, but also in my body, this belief so strong, I didn't allow any resistance to come into it. Now, those younger beliefs I told you about, they were just things that I kind of created, and I know now I had no resistance to that. So the trick is to look at your desires, develop a belief around it. But it wasn't, my belief wasn't, I'm going to be third degree, or, I want to be third degree. It was, I am third degree. That I am is so powerful. So that's what you have to do, whatever your desire is. So I'm a coach, right? So then mine would be, as far as my coaching and healing, I'm a highly successful coach and healer. I am, right? Not I want to be, not I hope to be, not I'm going to be. I am. So I hope that this inspires you in some way to put more awareness on your thoughts and the energy that you're sending out. And if you somehow got the understanding that all you need to say is, I want this, well, you got to take that want out. Because if you keep saying, I want this, the universe is going to come back with you more of, I want this. You're just going to keep wanting and wanting and wanting. You need to hold the energy, decide what you think it feels like. Like I decided what I thought third degree felt like. And I held that energy, like I would feel that energy. So if it's financial freedom, that feeling of freedom, that's a good feeling to keep, right? Or maybe it's a feeling of excitement for all that you can do without the stress of the money, right? You want to hold the feeling sense of where you want to be and always check in and say, well, what am I actually feeling? So in the case of finances, if you're actually feeling there's never enough and you're juggling everything around, that vibration will just keep repeating, right? Yeah, I know that because I struggled with that one before. So you need to change the vibration. You need to change what you're saying and find a feeling to attach to it. So for me, for financial freedom, it's just that free feeling. That free feel. It's like, so I can't even describe it to you, but I can feel it. It's what I've decided a free feeling of freedom is within my system. So then, especially if you get pulled out and you're back into the worry, doubt, and the fear, you want to return to, well, what do I prefer? That feeling of freedom. Let me recall that feeling of freedom. Yeah, okay, I'm back. And then start, creating in your mind all these different things that you're going to do, that you are doing in your future. You just haven't gotten there yet. Everything exists at the same time. All time exists, all timelines. So you can just kind of, I think of it like paradigm jumping, right? You're just going to jump into that future. So like what I say now is, one thing I'm working on is moving to Arizona. So since I don't really know the details of all that, I just know, I keep saying my future home is in Arizona. I know my future home is in Arizona. I don't know how I'm getting there, I'll tell you that much, but I know my future home is in Arizona. So I hold that energy. In fact, sometimes as I'm driving around, and I'm in New York, I drive around as if I'm driving in Arizona. I mean, you can play with as many different ways. It's all about the energy you hold and you attach it to, right? And then, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, which I'm sure probably most of you have, they say, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And this is true. So keep thinking that supportive thought, because it will show up. If you can clear the resistance, okay, I'm an energy clearer. I do that. I clear resistance for people so they can get to manifesting their desire. I have to do that for myself, right? So, yeah, that's it. I'm not going to go on because this will go on forever. This is like a topic that I love to talk about. So maybe I'll shoot a whole bunch more offshoots of this kind of working with energy to manifest your desires. But for today, I would just like to leave you with that you absolutely, totally can create your future the way you see it. Notice I didn't say the way you want it, the way you see it. Connect to that, see it, and feel it, and then you'll step forward to it. So if you like the things I'm talking about and the things I share with you, I would love you to subscribe to my channel and of course comment, because I want to know what things you want to know more about, and or even how these things that I'm talking about now, you may not have realized it, have actually played out in your life. Like my whole thing with my husband was going to be someone who lived on the opposite side of the earth and may have crossed my paths. Well, he's done both. Opposite side of the earth, cross paths. It's actually a lot of fun, So life's supposed to be fun. Let's just keep it a game and make it like a joyful thing. We come here as little kids with this joyful energy that we can do anything. I mean, I don't know what age it was when that kind of dimmed for me, but I used to always believe I was invincible, right? Recall that energy of when you held that, and see what that feels like in your body, because that could be the energy that you put towards these different manifestations, different beliefs that you want to create. So yeah, I guess that's about it for today. I'll see you on another video.